Hello everyone, this is Mr. Taylor. I hope you are all doing well. I am pleased to announce that we're encroaching upon the end of the semester. We only have a few weeks and the final papers in IPE 520 as we wrap up the online long session. As you all know, we are working towards the final literature review in the course. That's the final objective and outcome of the course. The analysis, critical analysis, which many of you are drafting now, is the precursor to that final assignment. The purpose of this particular analysis is to focus both on improving your writing, but also in outlining all of your baseline or overall research elements to get it all on paper. So it's twofold. When I mention focusing on improving your writing and academic tone, that means looking at your diagnostic writing assignment with all of my comments and feedback in conjunction with the publisher report that I've provided to all of you. The goal is to cross-reference both of those documents and to start translating your own ideas into that style of writing. So in other words, that's the focus on improving your writing and striving for an academically and research-centric and robust academic tone for this first assignment. In short, you can consider it a very small version of the literature review, but it will still encapsulate all of your main ideas or levels of analysis, or what we call threads, for the final literature review. In our research consultation sessions, I've already discussed this with most of you all, but the idea is that this is somewhat of a halfway point to the literature review. We will take the same content, the same topic, sources, levels of analysis, and we will simply flesh that out to the final literature review due to the last week of the course in lieu of final exams. This will be your final exam. Both of these papers have a drastic impact on your cumulative course grade, as one is 35% and the literature review is a little bit more than that, roughly half of the cumulative course grade. So we want to make sure that while they're two iterations of the same assignment, we want to make sure that we're really focusing again on those two objectives throughout the remainder of the course. Improving your academic style based on my feedback, and two, focusing on your research ideas and really establishing credibility and becoming an authority on the research that you are conducting for yourself. I've had the assignment instructions published for quite some time now. If you go to modules and navigate to the critical analysis folder, you will see the major assignment instructions here. And these instructions discuss the overall scope of this assignment, all of the specific requirements, and also contains a rubric. So the idea is that as soon as these assignments instructions are posted, that the burden shifts to everyone to work independently and engage in their own research, utilizing all of the resources available on campus, i.e. myself, the Writing Center, Academic Resource Center, library, reference librarians, your other faculty, etc. So this is the first portion of your own research work. So consider this to be showcasing your ideas and what you've done thus far as you've been working independently. I've covered briefly what the critical analysis purpose already is. The first two objectives I've already mentioned. It is a 6-page minimum, 9-page maximum research paper. Keep in mind that is 6 to 9 pages of research content, not counting your cover page and any references pages that follow. Again, this is all focused on the approved critical analysis topic and thesis formats that I've approved, and this will lock in that research domain and you will carry through to the last assignment with that same research idea. Overview is there. Structure and content, I give you some more in-depth details regarding how to proceed, what you need to do with your thesis statement. The important thing to take note of is to be sure that you're meeting the page count completely, including the correct number of sources, which should be 8 to 10 here, but also making sure that you have the right number of peer-reviewed empirical sources of those 8 to 10 sources. That's also included here in the instructions, so make sure you take a look at that. Structuring content, I'm going to go down a little bit here to the sample outline. This paper is going to be very simple in terms of outline. This is going to adhere to a classical essay outline, but is not an essay in any way. Remember, this is a research paper. We're just using the outline for most classical essays that you would see. What that means is you will have an introduction section. This includes your thesis statement explicitly within that content. In your introduction, you're going to provide all relevant details and context to update the audience regarding where your research domain currently exists in the academic conversation. What's the importance of your research? What's the buy-in for practitioners? And so in a way, you're going to set the scene for the research to come and what practitioners will get out of that research. Thereafter, you will have your main level of analysis A, main level of analysis B, main level of analysis C. And this all of this content here is going to be parallel and congruent with your thesis statement. You can always ask yourself, does this content support my final thesis statement? If not, I need to scrap that content or adjust it so that it is supporting my overall thesis. Again, the goal is that you are a researcher, you own your research content, you have the autonomy to control how you address your argument as long as it follows this format and outline. However, you need to always be cognizant that as a researcher, you are an objective party. You have an argument being delivered by your thesis statement. However, you are an objective researcher and you are orchestrating all of your sources in support of justifying your claims. So instead of you being subjective and providing subjective opinions, beliefs, attitudes, etc., you will alternatively only include empirical data and source material to justify your claims for you. Finally, you have a conclusion at the end. This is where you will restate your thesis statement in some way. You will just circle back to unite the entire piece that you're working on, re-emphasize the importance of all preceding threads, and then this is really the point where you objectively translate how you are moving the needle in some way. In other words, what is the collective knowledge gain that we are getting from consuming your research, and where can real-world practitioners in the field take your content? How can they employ it for the betterment of their own practice or for collective knowledge gain in the field? So this is that opportunity for you to really hash out, this is how this connects to the real world. This is how we can utilize the content. Also, you can address any recommendations for future research that needs to be conducted or any recommendations for real world practice regarding your content. And then from there, that should be good for this first analysis. And then when we are done with the analysis and I review the content, I will provide you with a sample outline for the literature review, and you will again have the autonomy to follow that template outline and adjust as necessary for your final literature review content. So very simple. Intro, thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, conclusion. Be sure that as you are drafting this content, you are writing all of your ideas in paragraphs with topic sentences. Separate your ideas out into separate paragraphs. Try not to write in extremely long paragraphs. And then try to utilize transitions between your points. So as you are transitioning from main point A or thread 1 to thread 2, be sure to signal that to the audience and include transition words, transition phrases, etc. Also in the instructions, you'll find the IPE 520 prohibited items and important considerations list. Keep this close by as you are drafting your content. These are a list of the non-negotiables for the assignment that have a drastic impact on your grade. All of this is designed to improve your academic tone. So all of my feedback, the publisher report, as well as this list, they're all intended to be at-a-glance documents you can look at to make sure you're not engaging in any of these non-negotiables in your own writing. So I'm going to highlight this, some of the main points, some of the trends that I see when reviewing this content. Be sure to review it in detail on your own, as I'm just going to touch on some of these. Overall, be sure that you are staying in third person tense, and that also you are remaining objective throughout your drafting. Remember, you are not imbuing any type of bias in this work. It's not an opinion piece. You're going to separate all of your subjective experience, beliefs, attitudes, assumptions, etc. from this content. Instead, you're going to adopt an objective lens and standpoint to analyze all of your content as you're conducting the research. This means you will not include any personal pronouns such as I, me, my, we, us, you, etc. Right here, you can use this in directly quoted content and block the regular quotes, but in your own content, you will not use any personal pronouns such as these. You will also not engage with the audience in any way. Again, you're separating yourself from the audience to avoid any presentation of bias. This means that you will not ask questions of the audience or demand anything of the audience. So be sure to maintain that strict boundary between third person objective tense in your own content. It's also important to remember that writing and thought are inextricably bound. You can't engage in one without it being reflected in the other. So I tell all students, as you are writing, you have a thought in your mind, always ask yourself, what is the best way by which I can present these ideas to maintain an assertive, authoritative stance? That I can bolster my credibility as a researcher and be a real contender in the academic realm with professors, seasoned researchers, practitioners, etc. So that objective third person tense and your academic tone are all very important. Again, no personal pronouns in any way. Along the same line, do not utilize any conversational phrases such as frankly, at any rate, as a matter of fact, at the end of the day, kind of, sort of, obviously, in conclusion, etc. Oftentimes, this is a product of writing as we speak, so it's important to remember to translate your ideas to the style that's required at this level. No conversational words, obviously, and goes along a similar vein. No waste words. I've provided a few here that you that are that are non-negotiables for all writing moving forward. Just any version of get, got, gotten, getting, any variant of got. You really believe a lot stuff, literally, virtually, so, seems, etc. When I say these are waste words, I mean these words do nothing to add substance to your content. There are always other strong impacting academic verbiage or research-centric verbiage you can adopt so as to continue to bolster your credibility, which is the main goal here, because you are presenting a thesis or an argument, and you want to be trusted as you work through validating that argument via your source material. I do point out that you want to try to write in stronger sentences, more complex sentence structures. In your diagnostic writing packet, I provide examples for how to do that. Typically, using a semicolon is a very important way that you can glue two smaller, simple sentences together. Of course, all formatting in APA needs to be strictly adhered to. That includes overall document formatting, as well as how you're citing and attributing, as well as your references. Down here, also, be sure that you are following all grammatical rules, writing incomplete sentences with a subject and a predicate. Make sure that you don't have any run-on sentences because of incorrect comma usage. So be sure to tap into all the resources available to you, i.e. the ARC, the Writing Center, reference librarians for choosing sources, etc. Do not use contractions such as won't, don't, etc. You will always spell out each word in academic professional writing. Do not start any sentences with this, that, it, these, those, etc. These are generalized terms that are too broad in scope. So remember, always try to start your sentences with words that refer exactly to whom or what you are referring to. There are ways you can experiment and engage in this with your own writing. Also, be sure that you're using a 50-50 balance of citing in text at the end of sentences and making attributions at the beginning of your sentences.